Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. As per usual, we have an overload, so we ain't sticking. We ain't sticking. Relax, get your popcorn, your drink, and let's get down to it. We're going to do an update first on the UK chapter. Lots of call to members of the chapter, trying to find out who leaked the information to me, who gave me the documents. You all have time to waste. And the thing is, no one is saying the information is fake or false. No one is saying that. They're agreeing that the content is correct, the information is correct, but they want to know who gave it to me. Now, my thing is, if that information is correct, and I know it's correct, it's proper documents, why are we worrying about who leaked it? We have bigger things to worry about, that like the corruption that is taking place within the UK chapter. All surrounding the chairman of the chapter, Mr. Roy McEwen, and his buddy here in Grenada, and some of his buddies, I should say, in the national executive, including the general secretary and other members, even what we call them, advisors, even advisor. One name is calling, an advisor is calling name, right? So that's what we have to worry about, and should be like working on it. You had months, almost 2 years, as a matter of fact, to deal with it. Everybody turned a blind eye on the situation. It continues, right? And today, because it's out there in the public, y'all want to know who sent it. What you're going to do to the person? Send them up Richmond Hill prison? Huh? Like Morris Bishop and they did? What are you going to do? So as a lot of wild accusations as well, calling people and accusing them and asking if it's them and that sort of thing, right? As I said last week, I spoke to John Nichols sometime in April of 2024. Don't know the gentleman. We spoke very briefly. We were supposed to meet up, and he was supposed to come on the program. He never did. And I never spoke to him again until Sunday. Last Sunday gone. That's Sunday the 29th of September, after the program was aired, because he is one of the persons being accused of leaking the information, because I said we spoke and he was supposed to come on. He had since changed his mind. I said that as well. I didn't hear from him. I was busy. When he came to Grenada, we never met up. And so that was it until quite recently, when something came before me concerning the UK chapter. And that is when I remembered, and said, but wait a minute. He was supposed to come in June. We're in September, you understand? And I made a few calls, and I said so. I never said who I called. I said I made a call, and documents followed. That's it, right? So, Mr. John Nichols and his brother Francis Nichols, as they're being called the Nichols brothers, has nothing to do with the documents and the information I have. And stop harassing the people. They have nothing to do with it. I must say, though, that when he called me on Sunday, so he made it quite clear that him and his brother has no issues with the content of my podcast, right? All of it is correct, he said. But he has nothing to do with it. I am telling you that. And I can go on record here and say that Mr. John Nichols and his brother, have nothing to do with it. And so are some of the others that you all are harassing, calling and asking where I get the information. How would they know where I get it? You all know that people don't get to know where I get my information. No, it won't happen. I'm going to jail with my information as to who gave me information at any point in time. I'm going to go to jail with it. I'm warning you. I'm going to go to jail, to prison. You'll have to lock me up as Morris Bishop did. And the revolution did, I should say. You'll have to lock me up. So now that I've cleared that up, the question remains, why was the money from the UK chapter, coming from the Deacon Mitchell Gala, deposited in a private account, TKIC Limited, sole ownership, the chairman of the UK chapter, Mr. Roy McEwen, when there is in fact a chapter account set up? Now, apparently, it is said that the monies from the UK Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell's Gala, was used towards care packages sent to Grenada quite recently, and I guess for shipping and whatever else, right? Finding a way, the same as the $22.5 million for the celebrations, the Golden Jubilee celebrations. Finding a way to try and say that's where the money went. Because rumors was that the $22.5 million, most of it, the majority of it would go towards Heroes Park, is to go towards Heroes Park. Where is Heroes Park? Anybody could tell me where is Heroes Park? That we're supposed to have, we have another, we have October 19th coming up, and we're supposed to have names in there, and we're supposed to have a bust of Morris Bishop in there, and the ones who died with him or something. Remember when they went to Cuba? The only important thing that happened in Cuba was a gentleman who made a bust of Morris Bishop. Remember when the Prime Minister came back at the airport and he told us about this bust of Morris Bishop, a statue of Morris Bishop, right? And he was going, and we getting one for October 19th, and tra-la-la-la-la-la-la as usual. Yeah? Where is Heroes Park? We asking. Who are the heroes? Up to now, heroes were supposed to be named. It wasn't named in October 19th, 2023. So then it was supposed to be named in February 7th at the stadium in the ceremony 2024. The independence ceremony in 2024, that passed. We head into another October 19th, and it was rumored that that's where the bulk of the money, when people start asking questions of the money, that's where the bulk of the money was going, right? Into Heroes Park. Well, it didn't go there, so where is it? Because we have no Heroes Park to show. Where is it? I hear that making a vendor's market area there now. See that it cleared? All kind of mamagism. And money's disappearing in the meantime. And well, let me not say it's disappearing. I take that back. It's not being accounted for. It's not being accounted for, right? Question to the chairman, Roy McEwen. Is it a fact? Is it true that the UK chapter, NDC chapter, had nothing to do with the care packages sent to Grenada for the people of Carriacou as a burial relief? Is it true, Mr. McEwen, the UK chapter was not responsible for freight or shipping of these care packages? Is it true that British Airways released a statement proving such? In fact, IAG Cargo, in partnership with the Grenada Overseas Association, Manchester, All Saints Parish Church, Bedford, and the Grenada High Commission in the UK were the ones responsible. And it was flown by British Airways, BA, Boeing 777 to the Maurice Bishop International Airport. You were there to receive it. Came down ahead and you went there to receive it, showing video and all of that. I don't have the time to waste to show you on the airport, acting like you know what you're responsible for the care packages, you know? So the question remains, Mr. McEwen, where is or are the monies from the NDC UK chapter Prime Minister Gala? The Prime Minister Gala monies, you know, that well, it's a Prime Minister Gala in New York, and it's a Prime Minister Gala in Florida and in Toronto. It's just trouble everywhere because all the corkscrews came out since June 2022. All the corkscrews. Right? The people in the chapter would like to know when the NDC UK chapter executive will provide a financial report to disclose the amount of money raised during the UK chapter Prime Minister's Gala. And I must add here, successful. I saw document statements that suggest coming from the said chairman of the UK chapter and other members that although they had food hiccups with the menu, that it was very successful because it was well attended. People paid for their tickets, right? So although it was a very successful gala, to date, the people have no idea how much money was made. Additionally, they want to know how much of the gala's profit was sent to the NDC General Secretary here in Grenada. This request, they say, stems from a statement made by the General Secretary during a members' meeting where he mentioned that the chairman should not be compelled to send monies to the gala. He wasn't compelled to send monies, right? The heat is on there, folks. The heat is on. So, the statement was made after the members raised concerns about some misrepresentation about the gala that was made by the chairman. The question is, why is the General Secretary and other members of the NEC Grenada, the National Executive Council Grenada, turning a blind eye to the lack of transparency and accountability taking place in the NDC chapter? It's not just in the NDC chapter, in the UK NDC chapter. We know it's happening right here in Grenada. Some folks, including the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, are turning blind eyes to the corruption that are taking place here in Grenada. Did the General Secretary travel with some young people, I think a couple boys, from Grenada to China, used monies from the UK chapter, stayed in top-class hotels, traveled first class, went on shopping spree in Westfield? Did I get the accent right? While the young people traveled with him to China, on their return to the UK, had nowhere to stay. And members from the chapter, a member from the chapter along with another Grenadian young lady, had to take monies from their own pocket and pay for boarding overnight as they overnight in London on their way back to Grenada. Is it true that there are movement of monies from that account to members of the executive of Grenada and members of the cabinet of Grenada? Is it true? Is it true that members of the National Executive Council are involved in the corruption going on in the UK chapter? Likewise, members of the cabinet of Grenada. And its surroundings, you know, advisors, and who is, it's like a free for all. Question for the chairman, Mr. Roy McEwen. They had a raffle too, you know. They had a raffle. So the people want to know what happened to the monies from the raffle, and what happened to the prizes, right? There was an ad, get your raffle ticket and win 2 return tickets to Grenada, plus other great prizes in the Grand Gala raffle. A Grand Gala raffle. You know, in New York, they're still looking for the Nissan. Well, in UK, they're looking for the 2 tickets to Grenada, the return tickets to Grenada, and whatever the other grandiose prizes was. The question is again, what happened to the raffle prizes? Where did the monies collected, where did that money for the raffle go? To the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Joseph Andel. Who is Ambassador Yvette Theresa Philbert? Here she is in a video addressing what looks like youths in Africa.
Who are professional makeup artists. I host 15 of them. 3 of the boys are makeup artists. So don't put yourself in a box. Always keep your mind open to other things that you can do, other avenues. Look to see where it's happening. Too many times what you do in a classroom remains in a classroom. You need to get active, and you need to find a space that allows you to then experiment with your thoughts. So you need to group yourselves together. So become buddies. So you become mentors to each other. So you group yourself in 2s, have a buddy. If you wanted to, let's say you wanted to study botany, so you're looking at going to, let's say, an area that has fauna, flora. It has your local animals in it. Take your buddy with you. Because sometimes what you don't see, your buddy will see it.
Folks, this individual did not receive instruments in Grenada. And since she did not receive instruments, because with this NDC administration, anything goes. We don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. They're not telling us. Things that's supposed to be gazetted are not being gazetted, and so we don't know. But this individual is calling herself in the UK Ambassador Yvette Philbert. Now, she was not introduced to us as an ambassador. We don't know who she is. She is Grenadian, I know that for a fact. Now, did the individual, and I'm asking this to the minister, did this individual, Yvette Theresa Philbert, go to prison, was imprisoned in the UK and charged and convicted for fraud? Why is she carrying the title ambassador? Who's she ambassadoring? Who? Is she a close friend of the chairman of the UK chapter, Mr. Roy McEwen? And why is she calling herself an ambassador? Ambassador to where? From Grenada to where? to be continued. And when I said to be continued, this whole UK chapter thing, I would, because remember I told y'all documents take so periodically, for probably every week for a while now, I would give you a little bit more and a little bit more of what is really taking place in the UK, with the hope that something would be done about it. If not, we would continue to expose them. So by now, some of you might have heard of the plight of Damien Clouden, a gentleman who came to Carriacou to help out, to volunteer, as the information reached me, saying his services to help in the rebuilding of Carriacou. Unfortunately, he fell from a roof of a house he was working on and fractured his skull. Here's a detailed report, compliments GBN, in an interview with his wife.
What started off as an act of charity turned into a tragedy for Damien Clouden, a Grenadian residing in New York. Clouden and his wife Camille returned to Grenada shortly after Hurricane Beryl to assist in recovery efforts. A carpenter by profession, Clouden took time off from his job in the U.S. and has been helping to rebuild several homes in Carriacou. However, on September 13th, disaster struck when Damien fell off the roof of a two-story home he was repairing. He was immediately rushed from the Sister Isle to the General Hospital by a Coast Guard vessel.
He fractured the left side of his face, and the fracture, the doctor is telling me that it pierced the membrane in his brain. And because of this, if he even so much as like sits up or like puts his head up, it can leak out fluid. He can hear, he can speak a little bit, but because of the fracture, it stops at the base, at the back of his jaw. It's very difficult for him to talk.
Camille explained that doctors informed her there was little the hospital could do for her 42-year-old husband beyond hoping his injuries would heal enough to stabilize him for medical evacuation back to the U.S. The father of three was placed on strict bed rest for 3 weeks, after which another scan would determine the next steps. Unfortunately, the family's experience at the General Hospital took a drastic turn.
So because of that, the doctor came to me and said he's going to have to do this little procedure to remove the fluid in order for the membrane to close back on its own. And I said to the doctor, okay, for you to do this procedure, are you going to give me a consent form for me to sign? He said, no, that's not going to be necessary. So I did go to the medical director to find out if this is possible. Somehow within the hospital, the doctor found out that he was being questioned about needing consent. And the next morning, which was yesterday morning, when I went to the hospital, the doctor's partner now came to me. Within 2 to 3 days, we're going to discharge him. I said, but yesterday you guys said he's going to be in the hospital for 3 weeks before you repeat the scan. She said, no, we're not going to repeat the scan anymore. I said, why? She said, I'm sorry. Yep, they're giving me discharge papers to discharge him out of the hospital, but he's a New York resident. Like, he's supposed to be discharged. You guys said, rest, repeat the scan, clear him to fly out home to New York for treatment. And now you want to just dump him out of the hospital.
Camille said she tried contacting the hospital's medical director, but was told she was in a meeting. Overcome with emotion, Camille expressed the possibility of losing her husband after just 1 year of marriage.
I just don't want to see Grenada let him down, because it's very scary for me right now, Right now, he's not bound to lose his life, but the treatments and the things that they're doing could cause him to lose his life. Like, God already saved him. So just do what you have to do and take care of him inside of the hospital. Clear him to prayer.
GBN reached out to the General Hospital's medical director, Dr. Taisha Donald, for a comment on the situation. She said, and I quote, "We have spoken to the family and are working along with them to resolve any issues." Camille also confirmed to the news team that after her interview with GBN, Dr. Donald contacted her. Damien's family is urgently seeking to raise over $60,000 to cover the cost of flying him to the U.S. for further medical treatment. They are appealing to the public for any assistance they can provide.
The GoFundMe link is posted on my Facebook page. Hopefully I could give it to you guys as well, and you guys could post it. My Facebook page is Camille John, and so the GoFundMe page is posted on both of those pages. I utilize all my social media pages to post the GoFundMe link.
Renepe Thomas, GBN News.
So, to date, we have no official word from the government or the cabinet of Grenada. No official word. The Minister of Health, the Prime Minister, no one. No official word. However, Ron Redhead, as he said, on behalf of the government of Grenada, now this is the minister that was fired from the government and cabinet of Grenada. He contacted the wife of Mr. Clouden, Camille John, on behalf of the ministry, on behalf of the government, on behalf of the government of Grenada. Now, as I said, this former minister of government of Grenada, whose ministerial position was revoked, and he was fired from the cabinet of Grenada. Before I play you an audio communication between Ron and Ms. Clouden, I want to remind you of the pronouncement of the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, when Mr. Ron Redhead was fired.
I also indicate that the Honorable Ron Redhead, who held the position of Minister for State with responsibility for youth, sports and culture, will demit office as a minister, and he will remain obviously as the Member of Parliament for St. George Northeast. Minister Redhead is doing so that he gets some time off from ministerial responsibility to pursue his academic and educational pursuits. We obviously take the opportunity to wish him well in this. We anticipate that in the not too distant future, he will conclude those academic pursuits and would be in a position, if he so chooses, and if the Prime Minister's agreed, to have him rejoin the cabinet. So those are the announcements. We have an official press release which is already prepared, and so that will be shared with members of the media and the public immediately following this press briefing, so that you can have the accurate titles and positions that the ministers will now occupy.
Now that's the Prime Minister there. Let's go to a release that from the Prime Minister's office, which says that Honorable Ron Redhead's role as Minister for State with responsibility for youth, sports, and culture has been revoked. So he was removed. They take back that thing from him. It was revoked, right? Now, let me play for you the audio correspondence of Ron Redhead to Ms. Clouden. Now, you see, this is why, partly one of the reasons why we are where we are today. There's no construct. Anybody doing anything goes. Let's listen. Let's listen.
Hi, good night. This is the Honorable Ron Redhead. I tried calling you earlier on. I would like to have a chat with you. I am responding to a request made by your friend, Sister Pam, in New York. So I am engaging on behalf of the government of Grenada, first and foremost, and we would like to express off the bat our deepest sympathies and regrets of the incident that occurred with your significant other. First and foremost, we want to wish him a speedy recovery, and we would like to have a status update. I myself personally will be coming to the hospital tomorrow, God's will, once time permits, hopefully in the morning, to hold a visit and to get an appreciation as to what is going on, and then be able to report back to the Minister of Health and the wider cabinet body. Outside of that, we just want to inform that we certainly appreciate his kind gesture of coming to the aid of Caracunians in particular in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl to give that assistance. We are very, very grateful for that, and to see that he was injured. It is not our intention to have him continuing to suffer, and things do happen. The hospital has its own challenges. We do apologize. There are protocols sometimes that we may not even be aware of, which do exist, and therefore they will follow those protocols without even getting the politician involved. But having seen the story, I think it's incumbent upon us to reach out and say to you that we are in no way promoting that someone can come volunteer, get injured, and there is no proper healthcare. But it underscores the importance of us building back our healthcare sector to an acceptable level. And we would just like to appreciate a conversation with you. As I said, I will be there tomorrow, God's will, and I will be able to report to the wider cabinet body on whatever engagement that we would have. So you let me know what is most appropriate, and we can stay in contact. This is my WhatsApp number and my local number, and I do have yours as well.
So on behalf, he said he's going to come see her and talk to her and then report back to cabinet. We have a minister for health. I guess he was up in the Fall Farm in St. It's his Fall Farm, I should make it quite clear, in St. Patrick. And I mean, there are a whole heap of other persons that could have spoken to that lady, right? No, so much so, somebody commented on it, and I'll play that clip for you as well, thinking he was a minister of government, because she lives in New York, she doesn't know what's going on here. She said she doesn't know who it is. She didn't even know who he is, really. And she called him a big minister of government, right? Anyway, someone posted on Facebook questioning the whereabouts of the $118 million EC dollars that we got as payout from the CRIF funding. Now, the question was, why couldn't the government use funds from that to help getting the gentleman back, Mr. Clouden, back to New York? I mean, I think they already raised, as far as I understand it, some $30,000, the last I've heard. Help. We're nobody asking them to foot the entire bill, but help. Okay. Then comes I Eat a Food Transformer. Under the gentleman's post, he was just questioning where is the monies received from CRIF. And I quote, was the house a government house? And this is from, did I mention Ian Django Thomas. Was the house a government house? Did the government employ him? Did he come on his own? We have to stop that. Earl, who is the gentleman who made the original post asking about the CREF money, Earl, you know better than that. The gentleman came to offer a service to the people of Carriacou, which was a good deed, but that had nothing to do with the government of Grenada. Let us elevate as a people and stop the games now. Get to the facts and let's be real. This is how we plan to elevate. This is from someone, my friends, who collected free monies from the government of Grenada for almost 2 years, right? Through The National Lottery Authority, the most corrupt institution in Grenada at the moment. $5,000 a month as advisor to the Minister of Youth and Sports then, his buddy, his partner in crime, and I mean that literally, his partner in crime as advisor to him, right? And most of you, well, those of you who've been following me from inception know of the story of the car they stole and sold. The car that wasn't belonging to them. That is Ian Django Thomas and Ron Redhead, who was a minister then, and Ian, his advisor, sold a car that did not belong to them and then couldn't get the transfer because the owner didn't know the car was sold. This is him talking about elevating ourselves. And if the gentleman came to us and if the house belonged to the government. But when Ron was fired and Minister Lacrette was put in that ministry as Minister of Youth and Sport, he flung him through the doorway. He said he didn't want any advisor, at least not that one. Advising who? With what? About what? This one here. Free money for almost 2 years, $5,000 a month. The government gave him under disguise through the lottery office. This is what we have to contend with. Now, he also got contracts, and probably still have contracts from the government of Grenada, because, you know, everybody have a security firm now. That's the easiest way to get our money through the government. I'm not saying some of them, it's okay. You work hard, and if you can do that, and you get a little, and you're working. But some of these people, like Ian Django, who is just about eating a food because it's their turn now, and he drove around Ron Redhead during the campaign because Ron didn't have a license and a vehicle, which he got as soon as a license, as soon as they came into office. Crookedness. If you're doing crookedness in the cabinet, what you expect to happen throughout the country, right? So he got contracts, as I said. I understand securing government property, schools, and etc. And this from a government who is depending on people from the diaspora to put them back in office. Everything is the diaspora, we know, right? NDC, who's hoping, that's why they have them registering, thousands of them, to come down to Grenada during the election to vote for them, because Grenadians have already slipped away and keep sliding. The ground is shifting. Remember, we standing on quicksand right now. So these persons that they're getting to register here from and they're not hiding it, they're proud of it, from the diaspora, to come down here, vote for them, and that's what they're hoping. Note the word, the word hoping, right? Put them back in office and leave us here in our mess and go back and sit down high and dry in wherever they come from in the diaspora. But we could treat them badly because all we need from them is remittances, barrels, and their votes, right? You leave where you're there from the diaspora and come, nobody send and call you to come and help. So if you're following why you want the government to help you to get back to where you come from. So what Ron Redhead offered the family, remember in his audio, he said he would be at the hospital the next day and that they could meet up and discuss, you know. And here is what I don't want to say because I don't want to say I say and I make that up. This is what he offered the wife of Mr. Clouden.
He wants to pay Damien passage to go back to Carriacou until he's feel better enough to fly commercial. Damien has a fractured skull. You want to pay. This is the minister of Grenada. And I ain't gonna call his name because I'm more embarrassed for you than you're embarrassed for you. Because I can't believe this is coming out of your mouth. So you want to pay for Damien to come to go back to Carriacou on the boat and stay at the house until he's better enough to take commercial flight to go back to New York. And then it got worse. That same said minister offered to pay and fix the house Damien was fixing. Instead of saying, let me give you the money towards your GoFundMe so you could get to fly to New York to get to medical attention, to get medical attention. So you rather take the money you have and pay to finish fixing that house. Like the house is so important to you, Mr. Minister. This is a minister from Grenada, the mainland, saying to the people on Damien's bedside that I'm willing to pay the boat to take that Damien back up to Carriacou to get better when he feels better enough to get on commercial flight. And he's also willing to pay to finish the house that Damien was working on.
But I can understand why you are confused, because all of us confused. We are all confused with his administration. He was fired, but he's doing more government work now than he did when he was actually a minister of government. Now, amidst all of this, the cabinet of Grenada, all with the exception of Prime Minister, and well, the Minister of Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs, who they were going to meet, took a flight on SVGA to Carriacou on Monday, the 30th of September, bright and early Monday morning, as we would say, to Carriacou, a chartered flight on SVGA, as I understand it. I stand corrected. But they went with SVGA to Carriacou. If you look there, you see them all posing at the airport. The entire cabinet of Grenada. Before I come to money's wasted, who does that? An entire cabinet of a country posing at an airport, all going on the same flight to another destination, showing it off to the world. And Mr. Andel talking about security risk. What is a bigger security risk than that? The only other time I saw that with them is when they all took a bus, was going to the airport. I think it was what they went down there to do, as the Muppet Show. All of them on the bus going down, talking, grinning, laughing. Stand up, pause off. And some of them like they in model mode, you know. Stand up, chest up, shoulders back, chin up, posing at the airport, going to Carriacou. They did go to Carriacou. A waste of the people, the government, and people of Grenada resources. All in a no work to do. First time I see the Minister of Health in a long time. We have a gentleman sick on his way. You didn't go to him, you didn't talk to him. But you pose off going to Carriacou on a joyride for 2 hours, my friends. For 2 hours. Because they had the Sargassum conference. People started coming in that day, Monday. I think the conference started on Tuesday, right? So they had to be back in time to do that. Where you going for, what you go to Carriacou to do? what they went to, what benefit the children of Carriacou get. The ones under the tent still have to go home when it rains and still sweating in this blistering heat that we have under these tents. Huh? And they still, the ones that went that under shelter, not doing anything in school. What you went up there to do? To pose, to take out photos. Huh? We don't have time for that. All you behind, all you way behind. Forget the posing and see if you could catch up. We already at midterm. I mean, you had to be Usain Bolt to be able to catch up in the next half. You had to be a sprinter, right? To catch up. To be advised, I would be uploading the GoFundMe link on my Facebook page and also on the Simon Says YouTube channel. On the screen there is a photo of Mr. Clouden and Damien Clouden, that is, and his kids.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
Welcome back. Folks, something wrong somewhere with this administration. They can't seem to get it right. Their priorities are all wrong and out of place. Whatever happened to the billions of dollars, the $1 billion blitz, as they referred to it, that we experienced a few months ago? Article caption, record CBI revenue sends shockwaves through the Caribbean. If you look, you see the headline there with our passports. In an article on that, let me pull that up here. Prepare for a systematic shift in the Caribbean as Grenada ignites the region with its most astonishing performance, yet in the realm of citizenship by investment, CBI, breaking through barriers and obliterating records. Grenada has surged past the 1 billion EC dollars revenue milestone, sending shockwaves through the industry. 2023 witnessed Grenada's meteoric rise, with total CBI revenue soaring to an unprecedented $1.128 billion, marking an astonishing 310.1%. That is the 310.1% year-on-year increase. But the triumph didn't come easy. For 20 grueling months, Grenada's Investment Migration Agency, IMA, battled tirelessly to keep pace with relentless demand, chipping away at the application backlog month after month. I'm going to stop here. Most of you might have seen this, but I needed to read it so you can understand. I ain't just talking. We have facts. You know what Simon says is where facts come first. Now, so we have all this money, right? We've been selling passports like fish cake, in the words of V. Nazenberg, former leader of the NDC. But today, I think my followers, my fans prefer to say, as like selling rum, because they say rum sell more than fish cake these days. Folks, all of this money But what we're hearing is tremendous benefit. Or is it tremendous benefit? Or is it tremendous benefit? Oh, we have up in there, right up in the cabinet, two of our ministers who have agents or agents who are agents of CBI. They removed their names and their email address when we started talking about it, the conflict of interest, right? But they're up in there. They're up in there. As I understand it, they're the ones who are benefiting from CBI now. Most of the lawyers quite a few of the lawyers who was benefiting before are now grumbling. And ones who supported them grumbling in the back because they're not getting what they used to get. In 24 months, this NDC administration approved 8,512 new citizens. In local terms, they sold 8,512 passports. From July 2022 to June 2024. The CBI program started in 2014, 10 years ago, under the former NNP administration, the New National Party. And until June 2022, listen to this carefully, the NNP administration approved 7,472 new citizens. Now that would be a period of 8 years. That is if my maths lessons were paying for. I hope Mr. Orlando realized I'm doing very well. I'm not wasting his money, right? So in 8 years, NNP sold 7,472 passports in 8 years. And in 2 years, NDC sold 8,512 passports. I came across a citizen of Grenada by investment who spoke on why he bought passports for him and his entire family. It's quite recent, and it came out a few days ago, and it was posted 13 days ago, and I'm assuming it was 13 days after he received his citizenship. Here is the clip of this gentleman.
This is a passport for the island nation of Grenada. I bought these for me and my whole family. I want to discuss in this video with you what citizenship by investment is, why Grenada, and why I did it. So let's get started off with a simple topic here. Citizenship by investment. You can literally just buy passports. If you have money, almost anything's possible. It's insanity. By the way, shout out to the guys at Henley Global. Henley Global. They helped me get these passports. They are a professional business who help people get golden visas and citizenship by investment, all that kind of stuff. They're not sponsored the video or anything. They're just the company that helped me, and they were awesome. So if you do go down this route of wanting to get a second citizenship for you, whether that be in a Caribbean island nation or Turkey or somewhere else, they're the guys to talk to, okay? Anyway, here's the crazy thing. Countries like Grenada literally sell passports to people. All you have to do is make an investment in Grenada. Now, usually there's two simple ways to do this. One is to buy property. Two, just give them money. So the buy property route, a lot of people do take that route, but you got to own the property in whatever that country is. And okay, maybe it's going to be some rental investment or something like that. And hey, later on, you can try to sell that property and get some of the money back, and cool. Or you can just pay them the damn money. If you have the money, get the damn passports and just move on with your life. And it makes you realize how crazy the system is. It's all a big fugazi. People can just buy passports to other countries. It's insanity. Now, why did we choose Grenada? There's a lot of other citizenship by investment programs. There's a lot of great ones out there. St. Kitts and Nevis is a very famous one. Dominica, St. Lucia. Malta's got a very expensive one. Turkey's got one. There's quite a few of them out there. Vanuatu, they might have one. There's a lot of them. A lot of them. They're not all created equally. Some are definitely better than others. Some even let you invest for that citizenship using Bitcoin. So that could be interesting for Bitcoiners out there. Usually, though, just a bank transfer. Okay. Now, why Grenada? Grenada, it's a small country. Doesn't cause anyone any trouble. Stays out of shit. It's a nice, neutral passport to have. It's also got some really great features for me and my family, particularly. We have visa-free access to Russia, which for most of you is probably not going to be very important in your lives. But for me, my wife is Russian. My mother-in-law lives in Russia. So for us, the ability to just hop on a plane and go to Russia anytime we want without having to go through the laborious process of getting a Russian visa, which is a pain in the butt, is a nice bonus. Not worth the money necessarily just for that, but a great bonus nevertheless to have these Grenada passports. It also gets you visa-free access to China. So that's also pretty cool. About 140 some countries all up, including some pretty big ones, most of the European Union, the UK, a lot of other places. So really great access for visa-free travel. Now, my other passport's a New Zealand passport, which also has great access to visa-free travel, but not to places like Russia and China. So that's, again, a big bonus of this one. Grenada is also part of what's called the CARICOM community. So, right, the Caribbean community. Now, basically, the CARICOM gives you the option to live in a variety of Caribbean countries. So we could go live in Grenada if we ever wanted to with this passport. We're citizens. So if we ever decide, hey, let's go live in Grenada, we can. However, you can also go live in another Caribbean country. You'd go live in St. Kitts and Nevis, for example. So pretty cool. Nice to be part of that little community with this passport. Grenada is also pretty affordable. Now, it's not the cheapest citizenship by investment. I think that title might go to maybe Dominica or St. Lucia, but I think they might have raised prices recently anyway. All up, it cost about $250,000 for me, my wife, and our 2 children to get passports. That was about $200,000 donation to the government of Grenada, plus about $50,000 in fees to the lawyers and getting all the paperwork done. And it was a lot of paperwork, man. A lot of paperwork. It took about a year of just getting all kinds of stuff together. It was a mess. It took a while. Okay. So expect to do a lot of paperwork if you go down this route, but it's doable. You just got to do the paperwork. And it's like a mountain of paperwork, right? But once the paperwork's done, you get these things in the mail and bada bing, bada boom, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and off you go. There's also no strings attached. You don't have to go and live in Grenada for some amount of time or any of that kind of stuff. You just pay the money. They send you the passports and you're a citizen of a country. Again, the system's crazy. And when you have money, it gets even crazier because you can do things like this that are kind of crazy, right? Also, Grenada allows you to pass it on to your future kids. So my children, when they get married at some point in the future and have kids, they can pass the Grenada passports on to their kids, which is pretty cool. Now, also, there's been this whole, war going on right now in Ukraine. Russians have had a pretty hard time in a lot of places for a variety of reasons. So it's a nice neutral passport for my family to have from that regard. But also, Grenada was one of the last countries doing citizenship by investment for Russian citizens, which of course includes my wife. So this allowed us to do that. Now, maybe I would have chosen St. Kitts and Nevis. It's kind of the more famous plan, but Grenada does everything we needed to do. So I'm pretty happy to be a citizen of Grenada. It's pretty awesome. When I look at these passports and I look at the world around me today, I just feel like it's a good idea to have a second passport. It's a luxury that I can afford, right? Yeah, I've got some Rolexes and stuff too, but I'll tell you what, this feels like a lot more of a flex than a Rolex, to be honest. A lot harder to get. This is a Plan B passport. And the thing is, because it takes a year to get, if you ever find yourself in a position where you need this and this somehow becomes a lifeline for you, then it's paid for every penny it costs. But if you don't have it, when shit hits the fan, you're screwed because it takes a year to get them, right? So look, when the Mexican beer crisis hit back in 2020, New Zealand had some pretty brutal lockdowns, and technically you could leave the country, it's fine, but getting back in became a lot dicier. And our neighbors across the way in Australia, they even had some situations where they weren't even letting citizens leave, right? So this gives you some flexibility, just in case the people running our countries go crazy again, which is not such a ludicrous thing to think because they've just proven it recently that they will do that. Or if we have some kind of World War III situation, you know, look, straight up, my kids are not going to go off and die in a banker's war. Okay. And if, for example, New Zealand wants to draft my children into a war, hello, Grenada, we're coming. And that's not because I'm, you know, I don't know, not patriotic enough or whatever, but my kids dying in a war for the bankers, because they're always bankers' wars, guys. They always are, you know, they are. My kids dying is not going to move the needle one direction or the other for the war effort, right? And the bankers' profits, but it'll affect my family a lot. So again, plan B. I hope I never have to use this passport for any of that kind of stuff. I hope that I never have to use it because there's craziness going on in the country and this is our only way out, or that there's some kind of war scenario and this is our only way out. I hope I just got a really expensive way to get visa-free access to Russia. But this becomes an asset, not just for me, but for my family. Because again, the kids get this as well and their kids get it, right? This can be in the family for a while if people keep renewing the passports and, you know, pass it on to their kids and all that stuff, because you never know. In an increasingly crazy world, having a plan B like this feels like a pretty good idea. Obviously, they're not cheap, but if you're someone who can afford that kind of luxury, maybe it's something to look into. Now, by the way, not you, but if your grandparents are from a country like Spain, Italy, Ireland, the UK, you might actually be able to get a second passport for free, citizenship by descent. Now, I was not eligible. My Irish great grandparents were just one generation too far back. And my Italian great grandparents doesn't count because my parents never got married and all this kind of stuff. So I wasn't able to get citizenship by descent. But I was able to get these. And that matters for something. It feels good to have just a little more optionality in a crazy world. Anyway, I just want to share a story, guys, because guess what? Some of you guys are going to make it when the markets turn, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit more freedom could be something you're looking for.
Folks, plain talk, bad manners, as we would say it, right? Now, this gentleman said it took him a year to get his passport, which, if we count backwards, should take us somewhere August or September 2023, assuming that he got his passport recently, and everything points to that. Remember, he posted 30 days, he said in 13 days ago. That's what the article said, the post, you know, tell you the date. Yeah. So let's say September last year, he got his passport. We should not have been selling passports then to Russians. His wife, as we saw, is a Russian. You heard him clearly. He spoke of, he's thanking Henley. We talk about Henley in another episode because it's going to be probably a full story. We talk about Henley. Visa-free access to Russians, visa-free to 140 countries around the world with Grenada's passport. That's what he bought. He chose Grenada because he has the most access to the most countries around the world with the Grenadian passport, even for the ones that we need visa to people, other countries, I should say, need visa to go to. But lest we forget, here's the leader of government business in the Senate telling the world they can come free for all, come and buy the passports. Here is Adrian Persuader Thomas.
The CBI program, such a successful program, being run under strict leadership, strict management. Madam President, we are with 5 or 6 international organizations doing our due diligence. Madam President, so when we approve any CBI project or any CBI developer, and anybody want to be part of the CBI program, rest assured, Grenadians, that we are doing due diligence. The program is open to everybody. Whether you are Chinese, whether you are Russian, whether you are African. The first thing this administration sees is a human being. They ask you, we don't cut me to see what blood runs through your veins. So there's African blood, Chinese blood, Russian blood. Madam President, we are here to bring benefits to our people. And the CBI program is a program we're going to utilize, not in the whims and fancy of a few, but the benefits must be brought to the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique.
So, we heard him. This is the same gentleman that told us in the Senate as leader of government business that he'll come back to us. They're taking the 7.5 million up front. Remember that was in the supplementary budget of 2023, I'm sorry, that they would they would come back to us and tell us what the money was for. They didn't know yet, but they take it in advance, and they take a 7.5 because they didn't want to have to come back again before the budget, the 2024 budget. So he promised that they'll come back and tell us, give us account, because they are very accountable government, he said. And I like how he does dip when he, put the hand in his pocket and dip when he talking. A kind of Nazimbo kind of, right? So we're not surprised that we're selling all these passports, are we now? Are we now? But I say this to say, and I use that to say that we're supposed to have money. We're supposed to have money. But as we all know, we're operating in a deficit, 144 million deficit. Billions of dollars, we're selling 8,000 ad passports in 2 years. Where is it? So there are things that we need to do, like to get Carriacou going. We have 3 different housing projects. We're not sure which one we get in when. We have the 500 housing project, 500 a year. We have the prefab housing project. I know we have the Build Back Better project, but up to now we can't see the housing, the housing thing going on, getting off the ground really. And people are still living on the tents, well, thank God they now put some of them in the housing, the Dumfries housing project, Chinese project in Carriacou, and some living in tents, right? We're supposed to have money somewhere. Where is it? Is it something like the UK chapter where the monies are going into private accounts? The people needs accountability, and then we have persons like the minister for MIT, and he have all right, because he's one of the bag holders, he's one of the bag holders, and he's out there in every minute putting up something trying to defend. There's nothing to defend. I don't know what he's trying to defend. His administration, because I have to say, his administration. He's the Minister for Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation. He's the Minister for Housing, Infrastructure, banking, right? Debushing, planning, and tomfoolery. Let's hear him in a clip here, speaking about what they met in office when they came in. That's funny. Now, we don't just sit down and because you go on a program and say it's a fact, it's a fact. No, it doesn't go so, mister. But did I mention finance? Because he had to be a minister of finance as well. Don't think I mentioned finance in my list of his ministries. What we want from you is the tape. What we want from you are receipts. We're not going to sit down here and because you say it's a fact, it's a fact. Are you kidding me? Nothing y'all said is be true and correct. Bring the facts. Show us who these contractors are. Where's the work? Morning the St. John's River, that nothing happened since y'all came in. You've just started the Cliff project. What contract you talking about that was 40-something million and went to 100 million? Tell us the contract, Mr. Man. I don't want to call your name. Tell us the contract. Because you lie. You ain't just lie, you damn lie. Right? But we can tell you about the Victoria Park in St. Andrew, and the receipts are there to show, where the chairman of the lottery authority, took $275,000 on his own, without the minister and the Ministry of Infrastructure knowing who is the Prime Minister, and the minister and the Ministry of Sports at the time, who was responsible for the Victoria Park, knowing, and say he renovating Victoria Park. And then he had an overrun of $295,000. Now that's a fact, and we can prove it. You come with your facts. Who these people are, where these contracts was, these projects that you speak of, that you all flag. Where are they? Lie. And the fact remains that the balance of that money you're talking about, the 15 million, was indeed $5 million. And we ask you, where this $5 million going? And where you get the bag of money that you can just dish out $30,000 here and $30,000 there? That's what we want to know. We have facts. We always have facts. Where are your facts? You don't come there and tell us, and that's a fact, and we're going to believe it's a fact. Bring your facts. Bring your facts. Call a name. Call a name. And I say you don't want to disclose it, no? Because all you're disclosing what all you want to disclose, all you leak the thousands of CBI agents that goes against the act of the CBI. All you leak that. So don't try that thing there. You understand? Nonsense. Utter nonsense. When you came into government, When you come into government, what you meet? Tomfoolery, mama guy, disgusting, disgusting. Bring the facts, we see, right? We still continue to ask. And how about the $100,000 you took? Let me step back. The security you had in the GDP for the over $3 million you have there on loan, that you're not financing, servicing, by the way. And you took back, they gave you back, I shouldn't say you took, you can't just take it, they gave you back your security, which you sold to Mr. Nelson Louison, right? And took a handshake of $100,000. I got that one right, didn't I? $100,000, well, let me say $115,000. $100,000 cash, handshake, and 15 to fix your truck. Huh? Are we lying about that one? Come and tell us we're lying. Because that's a fact. And don't push me. Don't push me. I have the receipt. Don't push me. That's a fact. Right? We have facts. So don't come and tell us that's a fact and we won't just believe that's a fact. Show us what you're talking about there. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. Now the reason, and before I continue, let's not forget the cabinet conclusion, the cabinet conclusion that we're still waiting for. The oohs and the ahs and ooh, oh my God. We're waiting on the cabinet conclusion still. And rather that we are an investigation for Faith and the other one. We still waiting. Bring your facts. Bring your facts. Now the reason I know this guy is not telling the truth. Now the reason I know this guy cannot produce facts, as he call it, is because of something called the Procurement Act, put in place by the new National Party administration in 2014. It was part of the new financial rules and regulations on the return of the new National Party to office in 2013. Now, this was as a result, I would say, mainly of the pressure put on by the opposition then, the NDC, for the same reason, talking about accountability and transparency, right? So that they brought to bear this act. In his presentation in the 2024 budget, the Minister of Finance spoke of the coming of the amendment of the Procurement Act, the procurement legislation, by March 2024 to allow single sourcing of works, goods, and consultancy service up to $100,000. And I quote, Mr. Speaker, the procurement framework is currently under review. While this is ongoing, we are of the considered view that an amendment to raise the current single sourcing threshold has been in effect for almost 10 years is warranted. Folks, by moving the threshold to $100,000 for sole sourcing, it means there is no bidding before $100,000. So we could just give anybody, fling money, and there would be no record of it, right? Yeah, talking about the record, we could find any records. Show us the record for the $100,000 you pocket for in exchange for the contract, what we call a bribe. Show us that. So The bidding process is no more under $100,000, right? You can select people who you want to get contracts. So all road work under 100,000 can now be handed over to friends and cahoots. Now, it could be 900,099.9, right? As long as it's not 100,000. This procurement legislation was put in place by the NNP to fight corruption, something the NDC party fought for vigorously. But look who's talking about contracts and met there for how much hundred and then turned to how much, not hundred, he said millions as a matter of fact. What contract is that? Had to be 6 cents? They're billing off 6 cents? Which contract? Which contractor had contracts inside that they met for $400 million and went from 400 million to 100 million? Which contract? We need to know the contractor, we need to know the name of the person or the company. Just tell us which contract you all met inside there. Yeah? You signing contract with people for money. You going to different contractors. The little man on the carriage up to now, they're struggling with their headquarters. You run out of money. You go in there and collect $10,000 ever so often from the man because you give him the contract. You sign the contract for the True Blue Bay, the True Blue road, the True Blue main road. That up to now can get fixed, maybe dig up about 10 times. Up to now, it's not where it's supposed to be. You should be the last person, and you're the face of the NDC, no? You're the face and the voice of the NDC, no? You're the most corrupt individual in Grenada. I ain't even saying in the NDC. For the things, let me not sweat myself up here, because I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And they was there. Every time you say nonsense. Now, in my mind, all fingers pointing to bribery. Now, if you take money from someone for something, in other words, like you took $100,000, Mr. Andy Williams, from Mr. Nelson Louison for the CCCI job contract on the Cliff Road project, right? That's bribery. That's bribery. Bribery is the receiving or soliciting of any item of value to influence the actions of an official or the other person in charge of a public or legal duty, and to incline the individual to act contrary to their duty and the known rules of honesty and integrity. Huh? What do you have to say? No, that's a fact. As such, bribery constitutes a crime, and both the offer or the recipient, the offerer or the recipient, can be criminally charged. Where's the Integrity Commission? I here ask the Prime Minister to investigate the case of the Cliff Road project and the bribery that took place in this case, both by the offerer and the recipient, Mr. Nelson Louison and Minister Andy Williams, consecutively. Bribery can be linked to fraud and corruption. I am not casting wild aspersions here. So, what is fraud, bribery, and corruption? Acts of fraud, bribery, and corruption are not victimless crimes. Such activities diverts much needed public funds into the pockets of criminals. It is recognized that the existence of fraud and corruption threatens to prevent the funds from providing maximum benefits to the people. Fraud is a criminal offense. Acts of fraud, false representations, failing to disclose information, and abuse of position. Fraud has to be a deliberate act. It is never a mistake and involves persons acting dishonestly with the intent to make gains. Fraud can be linked to other offenses, including, but not limited to, computer misuse, conspiracy to defraud, proceeds of crime, theft, and bribery. Prime Minister, you said you were a lawyer. I didn't say it here.
You can argue about contract and so on, that's fine. I'm a lawyer. We can get to court when the time comes. And who has to sue can sue.
Prime Minister, let's apply that statement to the Cliff Road project. Let's use your legal profession now. You always boast you're a lawyer and they could sue and who could sue and sue. Let's run an investigation and see what you come up with. Both parties involved are fraudsters. Now, and I'm going to go somewhere where some of you might find I shouldn't go, but as a result, we're talking about government here and what should and shouldn't happen. And the fact that this project was signed not by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Infrastructure, but was signed, the contract was signed by the Minister for MIT behind the Prime Minister's back while he was away. And information reaching me suggests that the Prime Minister did not want to sign off on this project with that company CCCI, you know, all in an effort to confuse us with CCC, right? With their 4 C's, CCCI, right? If you look on your screen, you'd see a document, and yes, it's a public document, and it's according to the ruling of High Court Judge Justice Agnes Ati. The government of Grenada has given a contract to a fraudster, the Clift Road project and the Trubley Road project to be exact. The company, and I'll go back a bit because there's a company, GANE, G-A-N-E Limited, started and owned by 2 brothers, Nelson and Garvey Louison. They purchased several properties that they rented out. So kind of like a real estate, I would say. And such properties, like the house that was in the security in the bank that Andy Williams sold, right? To Nelson Lewison, and I'll tell you why it's to Nelson Lewison, because you see, as I go along, the company, they went to court. In August 2023, Nelson Lewison filed a resolution at the Corporate Affairs and Industrial Property Office, CAIPO, stating that there was a meeting of the shareholders, and at that meeting, Gavin Lewison was removed from the company, right? It turns out there was no such meeting, and therefore it was a false document, a fraudulent document, meaning the document was created with intent to deceive. As a result, his brother took him to court for unfairly removing him from the company. During the matter, he produced another fraudulent document, this time showing that he is the only shareholder. The judge ruled that the company still belonged to the two brothers and they should settle the matter and send them to mitigation. The mitigation ruled that Gavin Lewison is still a shareholder in the company and that they should meet up and as family, because it's family, and come to an agreement. No such thing has happened, and so they wait for the final judgment of the court. Now, according to the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Property Act, and this is where I'm coming, Act 17F, and I quote, neither the person nor any of his directors or officers have been convicted in any country or any criminal offense relating to fraud or financial impropriety, or making false statements or misrepresentations with respect to their qualifications to enter into a procurement contract within a period of 2 years preceding the commencement of the document proceedings or have been otherwise disqualified. Subsection 2. Subject to the right of suppliers' contracts, consultants, or service providers to protect their intellectual property or trade secrets, the procuring entity may require them to provide appropriate documentary evidence or other information to establish that they are qualified under subsection 1. Now we go in subsection 4. The procurement entity may disqualify a supplier, contractor, consultant, or service provider at any time for submitting false, materially inaccurate, or incomplete information about his qualification. Subsection 5. A procuring entity may disqualify a supplier, contractor, consultant, or service provider who, without reasonable cause, failed to demonstrate his qualification when questioned to do so. Nelson Lewison, on the website of CCCCI, Mr. Nelson Lewison is posted as an engineer. He said his company, CCCCI, so many C's, is 25 years old, and that too is false. This company started, in my investigation, in February 2019, and that's easy to find in the registry. Therefore, it's 5 years old and not 25 years old. He claimed to have done 300 plus projects, and that too is false. As well as, I understand it, CCCI has done 3 main projects. Now that is one of the danger with respect to removing the threshold in the procurement law for tendering purposes from 15,000 to 100,000. It means that all contractors that bid for projects below 100,000, they are not subject to the scrutiny of the procurement legislation, which part of it deals with being involved with or engaged in criminal behavior. It's corruption all over again. It's like the Build Back Better project. Apparently, not even the permanent secretary in the MIT ministry have a clue what is going on with the Build Back Better project. Even though the supplemental was given to the Ministry of MIT. So, as Patricia Bessessa was brought into the ministry to deal with Project Build Back Better, no paper trail, and he's talking about paper trail, no paper trail in the ministry. It's treated like the SES project outside of the ministry. Now we don't know who get what. So my friends, that space, that Build Back Better space, we have to watch closely because the potential kickbacks to friends and families and goons, so to speak, are into play. Project Build Back Better is sitting outside of the government system while sitting in the government system, so to speak. In other words, more tomfoolery and mama guy. So stay tuned. A special individual was brought in just to deal with that. A friend and former, what should we say? Well, she worked in one of the financial institutions. She managed that thing. So you put 2 and 2 together and what you get? 11. Because you know, it touched every financial institution in this country. He tell it all that when they came in, he was owing almost every financial institution. And not just owing them, loans unserviced. Except for the ones who refused to give him any monies. All of the others. And then so. Now as I'm out and with Andy, we outside, me and you, we outside. I was astonished when I was told that the model Project Build Back, the Project Build Back model was built in Grandance, in the housing scheme. And everybody I asked, you know where the model is? They said in St. Patrick, because that's where the launch was. No, it's in Grandance housing scheme opposite Mellows Bakery. So I took myself and my phone, the little phone camera there, and took some videos, a couple of videos. Now, the model was built in 3.5 weeks after they were told they were supposed to be built in 8 weeks. Folks, did we ever get a proper view of the model? It's a shell. It's a shell. I went there as a citizen with all my rights. There were two gentlemen working on the project. I said to them, I come to view the model. They said, oh, sure, go ahead. I went in and I took my little video. I'm not very good with the camera and the thing, I must tell you all, but I did my own thing in character. And I didn't hear no complaints. If there was any, keep it to yourselves. And I did my little videos. Now take a look at what we have here. An absolute shell. No bathroom fixtures, no kitchen fixtures, cupboards, nothing. No closet in the bedrooms. As you can see, an absolute shell. The rooms are what we would say 2x4, the 2 bedrooms. I can't even figure out where the kitchen is going to be. You can see the living room area when you walk in, and the little area for the bathroom. I don't know who paid $70,000 for that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know who's going to pay $70,000. Hidden in the back and behind, I think there's a property in front and bushes really, and you have to peep to see where it is. And because you know the color, you can see it through the bushes. And I walked alongside the property in front and went to the back where it's hidden. More deceitfulness, more mama guy, more tomfoolery, my people. I mean, 3 weeks, we got it in 3.5 weeks. A shell. All they did was put up the boards around the outside. And the model is in Granans, and the launch was in St. Patrick's. Folks, we're quickly running out of time, and I don't have any more time to waste on this individual. So let's move on to Uncle Tilly. The opposition party hosted their general council in preparation for the upcoming long-awaited convention. But when is NDC General Council and Convention? Did they have one for 2024? Nah, man, they must have had one. We just didn't know. It must be just underground, because we at the end of the last quarter, and they have throne speech, budget reading, and Christmas. And I don't see where they could fit in a general council and a convention before year's end. If my memory serves me right, the last convention was in March of 2023. That's the people who've been calling for NNP's convention, you know, and are going against the Constitution because you have to have a convention annually. The keynote speaker, of course, was the political leader of the NNP, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. For the most part, all went well. And I'm thinking about his speech, except for some damning statements he made coming to the end that offended some persons, and rightly so. Here's a clip of what brought Uncle Tilly to the mic.
There are those, sisters and brothers, who seek to divide our party. Said, I don't believe we must hide anything. We have to talk. Morris hid a lot of things, and he faces death. Keith Mitchell ain't going down that road. There are those who seek to divide our party and our country with underhand maneuverings, funding media platforms of individuals to attack and spread propaganda on the NNP and its leadership. I don't know what they're going to do with Keith Mitchell again. They can't leave me alone. Even I'm talking about leaving, but they're still attacking me every night, every morning, every day. They can't leave the man alone. Leave me to rest. Leave me alone. Because what they say, if you play with things with fever, you'll get fever. You remember that story? Sisters and brothers, we are not in this for selfish means for power. I want to sound an alarm today again, sister, but within a new national party. That new national party would not be hijacked by anyone whatsoever. You hear me? This new national party will not be hijacked by anyone whatsoever. I've been in around this party for 40 years. And convention coming, we've never gone to people coming and tell me, oh, people coming to them and paying, asking them to pay them money to vote for them in convention. We never had that before. Where this thing come from? Where this thing come from? Where this thing come from? Paying people to come and vote in a convention? Man, God, are you crazy? And you want Keith Mitchell to keep his mouth shut? I go talk. I encourage you, the loyal supporters of this party, to stay focused. Be more inquiring. Question the motives of those who continually attack and push propaganda about the party's leadership. You must question that. When you hear some of them who claim to have been NMP supporters attacking the leadership. If you are an NMP sympathizer, how could you be attacking the leadership of the party? Choops. Choops. This party will not be destroyed by a few persons who do not truly care about the NNP and Grenada. Get it right. Our party has had hostile attacks before from both inside and outside. We had the A-team before who wanted to take over the NNP, and they were soundly beaten on the NNP convention in McDonald College in 1994. NNP convention will come, and anyone try to do anything against the best interests of the party would be soundly beaten once again by the new national party.
And here is what Uncle Tilly had to say in response. I shake my head in pity for Uncle Tilly. And the reason being, my friends, Uncle Tilly talking about Dr. Mitchell speaking out about what is causing the division within the NNP, right? People paying people to be on their side, more or less. And this happened in NDC. This is what happened in NDC when what we call the Peter David faction decided that they were going to hijack the party, the NDC party, from Uncle Tilly, right? They said, not they, but Peter David said he was not going back into another election, right? With that peasant boy as his leader and referring to Uncle Tilly. Now, in 2008, when NDC won the election, 11-4 in favor of NDC, Uncle Tilly was not supposed to win his seat. He ain't telling all of that. He ain't telling all of that. That faction went on the ground in St. Patrick East and campaigned against Uncle Tilly with the hope that he wouldn't win his seat and that Peter David was going to be the Prime Minister of Grenada, because in all fairness, he was the most liked after Uncle Tilly, and he was Uncle Tilly Blue-Eyed Boy, right? The night of the election, I was in Tempe, in the headquarters, where they locked them out after the campaign when I rescued them, yeah. I was in Tempe. And the only person from that league that was there was Ali Gill. Nobody else was around. Everybody else, I said, I figured they were in their constituency with their people. Turns out they were in the media center, what they call the media center, in Ross Point Inn in Belmont, preparing the studio to make the statement that Peter David was going to be our new Prime Minister because Uncle Tilly was supposed to lose. And he was his counts was the last to come in. And it wasn't looking good either. Up until the very end, he won by the skin of his teeth. They almost got through. So while some of us was in the headquarters with our 10 fingers and 10 toes crossed, praying for Uncle Tilly to win, they were getting ready to announce the new Prime Minister. So much so that when Uncle Tilly won, it caught them with their pants down. And when everybody congregated at Montrouge, where we was going to celebrate, there's nothing in place down there. No stage, not even a little board platform. No mics, no lights, right? Because Montrouge wasn't lit up then, right? They hauled Uncle Tilly up in the back of a truck. And I don't think the ones that was in the media center ever showed up. But Ali Gill was there with other members of and supporters at Montrouge. They hauled Uncle Tilly up in the back of a pickup truck and used another pickup truck to spot their headlamps on Uncle Tilly. That's what we saw, a silhouette we saw of Uncle Tilly. There's no mic, not even a megaphone. And Uncle Tilly don't have the most powerful voice, so we couldn't even hear what Uncle Tilly was saying. We stuck around, celebrated on we own in a kind of a way, and then went home. Because they were not concentrating on getting the place ready for Uncle Tilly. He was supposed to lose. Chairpersons of the different branches, all except one, was paid to support that fraction. So that thing in now, this is a repeat of history. And I blame Uncle Tilly because if he had spoke out of what really happened, the nitty-gritty, he sat on the files and never did. And so today, history is repeating itself again. But what did Uncle Tilly do as leader of the NDC then when that faction started to behave bad and divide the party? And because there was a divide, there was a split in the NDC party, right? NDC expelled Listen to me carefully, and Uncle Tilly talking about mafia and undemocratic. I was there, I was a part of it. NDC expelled Peter David and 12 others, I think it was 13 of them, from the party in the 2012 convention in SAS, St. Andrew. They expelled them, they throw them out of the party. Unconstitutionally so, found out later. Because these guys, although they were behaving bad, they were doing their thing. They had, when Uncle Tilly and the NDC was up, well, and his group, I should say, his faction was up in St. John's in a meeting. Peter David and his faction was down in La Sagesse in a fun event. It was a total split. Peter David had the majority of the cabinet. Granted, it was alleged he paid some of them. As a matter of fact, one of the members of the cabinet told me, long after, years after, that they offered him $250,000 to join with them. He said, "You mad?" He said, "Joking? I 250, I have to come stronger than that." And so he stayed with the Tillman faction, right? We expel the people without bringing them to before the disciplinary committee, without giving them one letter of warning. One member took them to court. The judge decided he getting involved in the politics of Grenada like that because it was close election as well and didn't want to sway anybody from any party. So he sent them to mitigation, and mitigation said they were wrong, that's the NDC party, and that the guys could go back into NDC if they want. None of them wanted to come back. Of course, Peter had his own plans to go to head to NMP, while he mama guy Glennis and them, telling them, form party. He didn't want people to say he was going, he power hungry, because that was what was said. So he say, you take the leadership and I'm going to come in after. And they're still waiting for him to come in. He went straight into the laps of the NMP. I was on the hosting the NDC Heartbeat show then, and I said to the NMP, you all are making a big mistake, and that they would do it to you all as well. And here we are today. Dr. Mitchell didn't expel them, you know. He just warned them. He sounded a warning that it would not happen. Right? It didn't happen in NDC anyway, because while they had the majority of the cabinet and the majority of the parliamentarians on this side, they did not have the masses. And listening to the general council and people speaking, it's obvious they don't have the masses here again. And big men like that, big old men, because they're young, in 2027, when election is due, Peter David is going to be either 70 or 71, somewhere there. He ain't much younger than Dr. Mitchell. You understand? So big hardened-back men did not learn from their mistakes. They come with the same exact MO, paying people to like you, or to pretend they like you, to support you, going underground to undermine the party that you're in. They say you're your party because you're a card-bearing member of the NNP now. And what you're doing is destroying the party like you did NDC at the time. Eh? What? They're still in the party. Uncle Tilly, as leader, political leader of the party, was a part of expelling them. It couldn't have happened without his blessings. He was right there on the stage. We expelled 13 of them, the main members of the faction. So what you're talking about democracy, where is it? What's wrong? Least we forget. Come on now. Huh? If Dr. Mitchell decided to put that in his speech, what's so undemocratic about that? That's his speech. He said what he wanted to say. He didn't do anything to them, and he didn't call names to start with. As we would say, as growing up as trained with a cap fit draw the string, he didn't call nobody's name. If you're guilty of paying people to support you, if you're guilty as working as wood ants underneath, eating away at the house, then by all means, wear the hat, wear it. So Uncle Tilly, when you speak, the mafiaism, if that's a word, is inside the NDC. Because the Gambinos and so used to go around to the different businesses, send their people to collect fees, funds from their businesses periodically. And today we see that inside the NDC. That's where mafiaism is. And corruption. NDP had corruption, but you know what it was? Not enough due diligence was done. I don't know if enough could be done to figure out a crook beforehand like that, but I'm saying maybe not enough due diligence. And they came in and went with their monies. Yes, E.J. Miller and them fellas. The one that Javan Brinks, that come in here with a false passport and all of that. Yes, we know about them. We know about all of that. But these are people who came and take money and go, right now, everybody dipping in the cookie jar in front of we face. In the chapters, in the ministries, in the ministers, we seen it. It clear as day. They're doing it. And people turning their eyes on their back and encouraging it and enabling it. What you talking about, Uncle Tilly? Eh? They're taking away money for license, extra $50 for license and some extra money for inspection fee for roads. You're driving, you can't even escape holes, and they're deep. The deepest I've seen these potholes. When you go there, you swear your crankshaft break. Eh? What is this you're talking about? Where is the government? Where is the strategy? Where is the planning? What's happening in the rural area where you come from? The school children, another school put out a message. They do the school feeding program, tell the parents they have no school feeding. A school in St. Mark, send out a message. More and more and more. Eh, Uncle Tilly? What you talking about? Why you let these people all the time draw you out to come and talk nonsense, man? It's embarrassing now. It's embarrassing now. Open your eyes and see what's going on. These guys are good for nothing. They are not good for the country. And it's desperation time, and we expect them to do anything because it's their last chance. When you're going to be at 70 or 71, you don't have another chance, really. Unless you're Trump. Donald Trump. So stop the decoy. Just stop trying. And you know, when everybody saw you going to go on that program, people say, right, Uncle Tilly coming to talk up now, right? But you found a way, instead of getting at Peter David and tell him stop his nonsense, to get at Dr. Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell, what he gonna do again? As he say, tell all he go in. He say go in. Huh? We have other contenders. He say he's leaving. But no, and come talking about shrimp farm and thing. We all know about the shrimp farm. The man go with the money, the people go with the money. Yes, we know about the shrimp farm. But shrimp farm days gone now. Let's look forward now at what is happening. It's a mess. It's a hot mess. It was yours truly, as head of the Women's Arm, president of the Women's Arm, along with Nazenberg and Glenn Noel, with Uncle Tilly, of course, there with us, that went around the island and spoke to the people about what was happening to save and to pull back the NDC. They were going to take it from you, Uncle Tilly. They were going to take it from you. They even had a name for a party. They say you could keep it some Christian something party. I don't remember the name right now, the exact name. to give to you, so they decided to go with the NDC. Eh? There's so many issues going on right now that Uncle Tilly that you could come out and speak about, Mr. Integrity, transparency, and accountability, good governance. I did that. You remember? You remember those, Uncle Tilly? Andy Williams accepting bribe. You don't see that. You don't know. You don't watch Simon Says. Nobody can tell you. Eh? We have heard of the national lottery. Uncle Tilly, you were the man who always talk about what's going on in the institutions when you was in opposition. Do you know what's going on in the institutions today? The Grenada Lottery Authority, destroyed by corruption totally. The Prime Minister turned a blind eye. He fired the messenger instead of the culprits. And you will say not nice, so you come on and no program. Gravel and concrete in problems. The Public Service Commission, the public service, the police force. Every single institution in this country is in trouble at this moment, Uncle Tilly. Accountability, good governance, everything's crap. We bury MNI behind here, you say nothing. And you come talking this crap about Gambino and Gambini. What do you know about Gambino and Gambini? Eh? NTRC, Spice Mass Corporation, SMC, everything. Oh, don't talk for the Grenada Development Bank. Eh? Not a word from you. The man in the general council, he make a speech in his own general council. As leader, you run out. Where you run out going? Folks, we run out of time, you know. I could sit down here and if I go to tell you all the stories of the NDC. We don't know what happened to the money in CES. We don't know what happened to the money for the the celebrations. You ain't saying nothing. They ask in the parliament. They're not getting no answers. The opposition not getting no answers. Folks, to be continued. Going into the questions, because you know I have to ask the questions. Prime Minister, where are you with the investigation into the corruption within the National Lottery Authority, the NLA, which resulted in the former minister responsible, Minister Lacrette, being terminated, and which you promised to investigate? Where are you with that? Was an investigation into the alleged corruption in NADMA being done? And where are you with that? Prime Minister, was there an investigation into the MIT Andy Williams receiving $100,000 as bribe in exchange for a project, the Cliff Road project? And did Andy Williams sign off on that project without your knowledge or behind your back, so to speak? Prime Minister, what is the status of the persons who receive CES monies and their businesses? What are the progress? Millions were granted to hundreds of persons, according to all you. We continue to ask about the 22.5 million allocation for the 50th anniversary celebration. Can we get a breakdown, sir, of the spendings as promised by the leader of government business in the Senate? To the SMC, can the people get an account of the money spent on the carnival launch in New York in 2023 and 2024? Mr. Andel, can we get a breakdown of all the diplomats, of their monies, of their financials, their finances. Can we get that, sir? Francis Purcell asking for the people in New York what happened to the prices of the raffle held by the Deacon Mitchell group in New York. And while we're at it, we want to find out for the UK chapter as well, and their raffle and their gala money. Just out of concern for the farmers, they are a little bit iffy about the amount of information they have to provide to get the monies. With all that's happening in cyberspace, they're very worried. They're happy for the monies. They thank you, but they are very worried about the information, the amount and the type of information they have to put out there. Folks, as I said, we are quickly running out of time, but I must extend condolences to the family and the friends and well-wishers of the Williams family on the passing of Sir Danny Williams, his NNP family, as well as his personal family. May his soul rest in peace. Sir Danny passed away yesterday, Wednesday, the 2nd of October, 2024. We at Simon Says stand in solidarity with the teachers. Of course, I'm wearing my red, as you see. The teachers of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. I see Teacher Jude say, put all the stand up at the gate. I know, how come y'all not marching in the streets? But he says, stand at the gate. As I say here, we have run out of time bigly, and so we have to end here. I want to thank you for joining me. And Simon Says, as usual, happy to converse with you, keeping them honest. Thank you for joining Simon Says, where facts come first. See you next week, same time, same place, as we continue our conversation. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.